Imagine a place where there is no income tax, where every penny you earn is yours, and where skyscrapers gleam under the desert sun as symbols of prosperity. Sounds like the perfect financial paradise, doesn't it? But what if I told you that behind this scenario of luxury and economic freedom, there is a hidden price that few are willing to pay? That is the paradox of Dubai, the tax-free paradise that, at the same time, controls everything. Dubai has become the golden dream of entrepreneurs, investors and millionaires worldwide. A place where bureaucracy seems non-existent, where businesses flourish at record speed, and where the impossible becomes routine. It's the epitome of modernity, a technological and financial oasis that defies the logic of Western countries. But there's something most people don't realize. What Dubai offers in financial freedom, it takes away in personal freedom. The engine that makes this system work isn't just oil nor tourism. It's control. A silent, sophisticated and invisible control. Have you ever stopped to think about how a country can function perfectly without collecting taxes? How is it possible to sustain world-class infrastructure, extremely high salaries, exemplary security, and impeccable public services, all without taxing citizens? The secret lies not in what they collect, but in what they monitor. Every piece of data, every movement, every decision is observed. Efficiency has a price, and in this case, the price is privacy. The government of the United Arab Emirates has built a system that combines absolute political power with the corporate mentality of a billion-dollar company. There, the state is the CEO and the citizen is a collaborator. And tax exemption is the bonus that keeps everyone motivated to follow the rules without question. There is no political opposition, no free press, and above all, no room for error. It's like living in a glass shop window. On the outside, everything is glittering. On the inside, every reflection is carefully observed. And perhaps that's exactly why Dubai works so well. The traffic is impeccable, the streets are clean, crime is practically zero, and the economy is growing at a rapid pace. But what maintains this harmony is a surveillance and discipline structure that borders on perfection. While in the West, freedom is the highest value, in the Middle East the priority is order. Social balance is maintained not by collecting taxes, but by enforcing conformity. What many see as an ideal model of prosperity may in fact be a social engineering experiment, a society where each person has their defined role and where collective harmony takes precedence over individuality. And the most curious thing is that for many, this isn't a high price to pay. After all, living in a place where everything works perfectly is everyone's dream, isn't it? But to what extent are we willing to give up freedom in exchange for perfection? Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover could completely change how you see this tax haven. Dubai is more than just a luxury city. It's a living experiment in power, control, and mindset. And what seems like a successful model may hide a truth that few dare to see. And when we observe all this, a system so perfect at first glance, so tax-free, so organized, it's impossible not to wonder, does this model truly represent the freedom we imagine, or is it merely a carefully controlled version of it? What's most intriguing is realizing how power can disguise itself as convenience. In Dubai there is no chaos, no strikes, no protests, but there is also no room for dissent. It's a society built on silence and efficiency, and it is precisely this balance that awakens both fascination and unease. And this is where I want to hear from you too, because this topic, more than about economics or politics, is about mindset. It's about how far each of us would be willing to go in the name of stability. Would you trade freedom for security? Would you prefer to pay less taxes even if it meant giving up certain rights? Tell me in the comments what you think about this. I really want to know how you see this balance between freedom and control. And if this kind of reflection makes sense to you, if this deeper look at the world prompts you to think differently, leave a like. It may seem like a small gesture, but it's what shows YouTube that this content has value and allows more people to find us and reflect with us. Every comment, every like, every new subscription helps build a community of people who aren't content with just seeing the shine, but want to understand what lies behind it. Your participation is what keeps this space alive, a space where curiosity knows no bounds and learning never ends. So if you want to continue exploring the world from this new perspective, subscribe to the channel here, not because someone asked, but because you are part of this movement of those who seek to see beyond appearances. And now let's delve even deeper into this story, because understanding Dubai is about understanding much more than a futuristic city. It's about immersing ourselves in the logic of a system that redefines what power and freedom mean in the 21st century. Dubai markets itself to the world as a true paradise of financial freedom, a place where entrepreneurs don't have to deal with suffocating taxes, where every penny you earn is yours, and where the government seems to have discovered the magic formula for prosperity without taxation. But when you look more closely, you realize that the secret lies not in the absence of taxes, but in the presence of an ingeniously controlled system that transforms profit into dependence and freedom into a carefully maintained illusion. The zero tax policy attracted corporate giants, millionaires seeking tax havens, and dreamers who believed they had found the perfect scenario to get rich. And, in a way, it worked. The artificial islands, the physics-defying skyscrapers, and the gleaming shop windows are testaments to the power of this model. But behind every investment, there is a silent structure of control. Nothing happens in Dubai without being monitored. Every transaction, every money movement, every property acquired. The system is transparent only to those observing it from above. This is how the city manages to maintain itself as one of the richest economic centers on the planet, without depending on direct taxes. The secret lies in hidden fees, private services, and the costs of exclusivity. It's an economy that transforms status into a tax. Want to live in a luxury condominium? Pay. Want a business license? Pay. Want the right to exist within this artificial paradise? Pay, even if the tax officially doesn't exist. And that's precisely where the system's genius lies. It makes citizens believe they are free, when in reality they are trapped in a machine where everything has a price, even silence. Dubai understood something that few nations have grasped with such clarity. Money buys obedience, and the absence of taxes is merely a reflection of an unwritten agreement. The state gives you the illusion of freedom, and you reciprocate with absolute loyalty. No government directly interferes in business, but everyone knows there's a line that cannot be crossed. That's why criticism disappears, protests don't exist, and success remains impeccably polished, like streets that seem never to gather dust. What truly sustains this stability is the mindset behind it. The collective belief that growth must be continuous, that appearance is as important as content, and that control is the necessary price to pay to maintain the shine. While the world struggles to balance freedom and order, Dubai has simply chosen one side, that of monitored perfection. And the most fascinating thing is that for many this trade-off is worthwhile. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because understanding Dubai is understanding the new concept of global power. A power that doesn't need weapons or explicit censorship. It's built on incentives, promises, and comfort. And perhaps the biggest trick of this system is precisely that, making you believe you're in control when in reality, control is within you. Dubai is a showcase of modernity, lights that never go out, luxury cars that glide silently along the avenues, and skyscrapers that touch the sky. But behind this spectacle lies a carefully constructed system to ensure that everything continues exactly as it is, perfect, predictable, and under control. Nothing in Dubai happens by chance. Every step, every rule, and every silence has a purpose. The feeling of absolute security and unwavering prosperity is the result of a state that understands an ancient truth. True power lies not in prohibiting, it lies in observing. The government of the United Arab Emirates is one of the most centralized in the world, and Dubai, even being the modern face of the country, is an extreme example of how control can be elegant. The city is monitored by thousands of cameras, drones, and facial recognition systems that track not only traffic, but also people's behavior. Everything is recorded, from how you drive to what you share on social media. It's the kind of surveillance that doesn't hide behind secrets. It's part of the invisible agreement between citizen and government. You can have everything you want as long as you follow the rules without question. Strict laws complement this system. The press is filtered, criticism of the government is unthinkable, and the internet is carefully shaped to show what should be seen. There is an almost surgical precision in how the state shapes the narrative. Everything you read, watch, or comment on passes through a filter of order and reputation. The goal is not just to censor, but to build a flawless image of harmony and progress. After all, the world sees Dubai as a symbol of success, and success there cannot have cracks. This absolute control is justified as a way to protect stability, and in a way, it works. Crime is practically non-existent, the streets are clean, and the feeling of security is almost surreal. But there is a price for such perfection: individual freedom. In Dubai, you are free until the moment you decide to use that freedom. A critical comment on social media, an unexpected opinion, or even a simple photo in a prohibited location can become a problem. The boundary between right and wrong is defined not by universal morality, but by the image the country wants to project. What's most impressive is how all this happens with an almost invisible elegance. Control isn't imposed by force, but by culture. From an early age, people learn that stability is worth more than freedom, that collective harmony is a priority, that questioning the system is a form of imbalance. And so the machine turns, silently, precisely, efficiently. The average citizen doesn't feel watched. They feel protected. It's a social engineering so refined that it transforms surveillance into comfort, censorship into trust, and obedience into patriotism. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because what keeps this system standing isn't fear but mentality. It's the belief that a modern empire can only exist when control and freedom go hand in hand, even if one of them takes a few steps ahead. Comment below. This makes sense to me. I want to know what you think about this form of power disguised as perfection. Dubai is not just a city, it's a carefully constructed global brand. Every palm tree planted in the desert, every glass tower reflecting the Gulf sun, every multi-million-dollar event attracting celebrities and investors, everything is part of a meticulously planned project. There, the government doesn't function like a traditional state, but like a globally reaching company. Its product? The Dubai dream itself, a modern oasis that sells the idea of success, luxury, and power. The curious thing is that in this model, the citizen becomes part of the machine, not as a voter, but as a collaborator. Political stability is treated as the most valuable asset and international image as the greatest patrimony. The government of the United Arab Emirates operates like a conglomerate. Its leaders are simultaneously politicians and businessmen. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, for example, is more than a ruler. He is the CEO of a nation that exports status, innovation, and prosperity. Everything, from tourism to urban planning, is structured as a branding strategy. Cities are launched as products, mega events function as advertising campaigns, and even laws are adjusted to attract investors. What appears spontaneous to the world, the growth, the luxury, the future, is actually the result of an impeccable business plan. In this system, profit and control go hand in hand. The city is kept in an impeccable showcase, where even chaos is carefully disguised. When one sector begins to decline, another is already being designed to replace it. If oil is no longer the basis of the economy, tourism, real estate, and technology occupy the space with the same speed that a building appears on the horizon. This capacity for adaptation is what makes Dubai a global phenomenon, but also what keeps power concentrated in a few hands. Nothing is improvised, everything is orchestrated. The state behaves like a corporation that does not tolerate failure. The official discourse speaks of progress, innovation, and sustainability, but behind this narrative lies a rigid, hierarchical, and almost military structure in its efficiency. Decisions are made by a select group that sees the nation as a constantly expanding holding company. The average citizen has little participation in decision-making. Their role is to maintain the pace, consume the experience, and be part of the image. Dubai's success does not come from freedom, but from discipline, from the belief that the collective prospers when control is centralized. And what's most fascinating is how this control is sold with charisma. There are no authoritarian speeches, but promises of opportunity. There is no imposition, but enchantment. The government understands that to maintain power, it doesn't need to dominate by force, it just needs to convince through admiration. The grandeur of the projects, the brilliance of the lights, the feeling of living. In a place where everything seems possible, all this is part of an emotional engineering that transforms obedience into desire. The citizen feels pride, the foreigner feels envy, and the system continues to function without a hitch. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because the true genius of Dubai lies precisely there, transforming control into apparent freedom and power into spectacle. The country has become the stage where capitalism and monarchy blend perfectly. And each skyscraper is, in fact, a silent reminder of who truly holds the power. Comment below. This makes sense to me. I want to know if you also see this mixture of fascination and control behind the golden paradise. In the 21st century, the real gold is no longer underground, it's in the digital cloud, and Dubai understood this before almost the rest of the world. While other countries were still trying to balance their oil accounts, the United Arab Emirates began building a new kind of wealth: information, data. Every click, every purchase, every movement recorded in the city's intelligent systems is a valuable piece of a gigantic digital chessboard. The country has transformed technology into power and power into surveillance. The result? A societal model where everything works perfectly, but nothing happens without being observed. In Dubai, the promise of a smart future blends with the feeling of living inside an innovation lab. The city invests billions in artificial intelligence, urban sensors, automated systems, and integrated platforms that connect all aspects of daily life, from garbage collection to traffic control. Autonomous cars, smart cameras, facial recognition at airports, and even monitoring drones form an invisible network that covers virtually the entire urban territory. Officially, it's about efficiency and security, but behind the modernity lies a troubling question. To what extent does this efficiency require sacrificing privacy? Dubai's data law, one of the most ambitious pieces of legislation on the planet, establishes that information collected within the city belongs to the state. Everything that is recorded, from corporate data to simple digital activities, can be analyzed and used by the government. The discourse is one of progress, of a society guided by algorithms capable of predicting and solving problems before they even happen. But in practice, this structure also creates a subtle, almost imperceptible environment of control. Surveillance that doesn't impose fear, but induces behavior. People adapt, act within the rules, and believe they are simply being efficient. The curious thing is that this model works. The streets are clean, the traffic flows smoothly, the crime rate is practically zero. It's the kind of perfection that enchants any visitor. But behind this order, there's a system that transforms every citizen into data and every decision into a record. The boundary between security and surveillance dissolves. The government knows where you are, what you do, and even what you intend to do. And unlike other countries, in Dubai, this isn't seen as an invasion. It's seen as part of the social contract. You hand over your data in exchange for stability. It's a silent pact where the price of peace is total transparency. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because what's happening in Dubai isn't just about technology, it's about mindset. While the West discusses freedom and privacy, the Emirates are building a future where efficiency is the new moral ideal, where what matters isn't what you think, but how much you cooperate. And perhaps that's the real revolution, a system where control doesn't need to be imposed by force because it's accepted as part of comfort. While the whole world admires the golden gleam of Dubai's skyscrapers reflecting the desert sun, there's another side to the city that rarely appears in tourist photos. Behind every luxurious facade, every seven-star hotel, and every illusion of perfection, there's a silent army of foreign workers, Men and women who left their families thousands of kilometers away to literally support the foundations of this artificial paradise. They don't appear in advertising campaigns, but without them, Dubai simply wouldn't exist. It's a hidden, uncomfortable truth that challenges the glitz of the official narrative. These workers come mainly from India, Bangladesh, the Philippines, and Pakistan. Many arrive with dreams of prosperity, believing in the promises of a better life. But upon setting foot on Emirati soil, they discover a very different reality. Their passports are confiscated, their workdays reach 14 hours, and the desert heat becomes a constant enemy. While millionaires enjoy the air conditioning of their panoramic apartments, they face temperatures above 45 degrees Celsius on scaffolding and construction sites. Dubai is an oasis, but not for everyone. The contrast is stark. High up in the towers, luxury is absolute. Suspended swimming pools, private helicopters, gilded restaurants. Below, the dormitories are simple, cramped, often shared by dozens of people. It's the kind of inequality you don't see because it was designed not to be seen. The city was designed so that discomfort never catches the visitor's eye. Those who serve, clean, build and maintain the system live in a separate bubble, an essential but invisible cog in the machine. And in a way, that's the secret of paradise. It only remains perfect because someone silently carries the weight of perfection. There is something profoundly symbolic in this. Dubai represents the pinnacle of human ambition, the idea that the impossible can be built. But it also reveals the cost of that ambition. It is a city built on contrasts, wealth and sacrifice, freedom and control, dreams and dependence. For every tower that touches the sky, there is a story of someone who could never see beyond the walls of their lodging. It is a living metaphor for a world that still measures success by the glitter of gold, not by the dignity of the hands that shape it. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because understanding Dubai is understanding a mirror of humanity itself. This city shows us that every system, however grand it may seem, has a price. And the price of luxury is often paid by those who never experience it. There is something almost poetic and tragic in seeing a society that sells an image of perfection while hiding in the shadows its most human vulnerability. And perhaps the great reflection is this: the true power of a nation lies not in the height of its buildings, but in how it treats those who build them. True wealth is not measured in oil, gold, or data. It is measured in compassion, balance, and justice, because no paradise is eternal if it is sustained by weary hands and forgotten hearts. Dubai is the perfect portrait of a modern paradox, a city that sells freedom but administers it with surgical precision. What began as a dream of prosperity in the middle of the desert has become a social laboratory where every step is monitored, every decision is calculated, and every appearance must be kept impeccable. It's the kind of place where everything works, everything shines, but nothing happens by chance. Every camera, every rule, every detail is there to remind you that paradise has an owner, and he watches everything. The most curious thing is that, at first glance, nobody seems to care. Because in the end, Dubai offers what modern humans desire most: security, status, and the illusion of control over their own lives. Here, you can drive a gold car, live in a skyscraper that touches the sky, dine in a floating restaurant, and watch the desert transform into a futuristic city before your eyes. But all this comes with an invisible contract, a silent agreement where the price of perfection is privacy itself. It's a model that, in a way, exposes the essence of the contemporary mentality, the desire for power without chaos, for progress without risk, for freedom without responsibility. Dubai was built on the promise of a system where nothing goes wrong because everything is controlled, and paradoxically, it is precisely this control that keeps the feeling of freedom alive. A kind of gilded prison where no one feels the bars because the walls are made of glass, luxury, and convenience. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because if we think about it, Dubai is more than a city. It's a metaphor for the world we are building, a world where we trade privacy for comfort, authenticity for appearances, and autonomy for stability. It's a collective choice, made silently, every day, each time we accept being watched in exchange for an easier life. And perhaps that's the great irony. While we think we are conquering the future is already watching us and learning to control us better. Ultimately, the true meaning of freedom lies not in doing whatever one wants, but in being able to choose what one doesn't want to accept. And that's where Dubai challenges us, because it shows that it's possible to have a tax-free paradise as long as you accept being watched all the time. It's a lesson about mindset, about decisions, and about the price of living in a society that transforms everything, even control, into a luxury. And this reflection touches us because ultimately it's not just about Dubai, it's about us, about how much we are willing to give up in exchange for comfort, status, and belonging. The desert city is not just a symbol of economic power, but a mirror of our own time, a time where the line between freedom and surveillance has become increasingly blurred. So I ask you, is living in a place where nothing goes wrong really freedom? Or is it just a well-constructed illusion, maintained by those who understand that real power lies not in prohibiting, but in persuading? Because that's what Dubai does. It doesn't impose, it seduces, and when you realize it, you're already trapped not by walls but by fascination. Comment below, this makes sense to me. I want to know if you also believe that, in such a surveilled world, perhaps the true rebellion is choosing to remain human.